So we have just had probably the final screening of a film at Romford Horror 2025, Video Shop Tales of Terror 2, take 2, I guess, for us.
Final showing ever then.
Yeah.
We're done now. It was that bad.
No more. Something you don't know about this film. I have issue with this film and maybe taking a personal injunction against it. Come on, Alex. Who have you got? And
I do a little pass down, right?
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Alex. Hi, I'm Matt Davies. I'm one of the writers and producers of the Gory Hole segment.
I am Jay Lowe, and I did a number of special effects, including Studio 69, The Vagina Aliens, talking video cassette, bladder effects, etc.
Hi, I'm Lee Wignall. I worked on Gory Hole doing the editing and visual effects. I also did all the title sequence for the whole Video Shop Tales of Terror 2.
I'm Rich, and I directed and co-wrote the Gory Hole, and did the voice work at the end, shouting at James.
So let's be honest, we've got so much Gory Hole here.
So much gory.
What was the inspiration?
So, a very long time ago in the late 90s, I read an interview with John Waters, the film director.
Okay, yes.
And in that, he tells a story about somebody using a glory hole in San Francisco and the person on the other side pouring battery acid on the member.
Oh.
Which, as I must have been 17 when I read that, and that absolutely blew my mind and was horrifying and stayed with me. And the thought had always been, well, that would be terrible, but wouldn't it be so much worse to be pinned there? So that was the genesis of it, and that's sort of stayed in my mind for 30 odd years. And then we'd been here and seen the first Video Shop Tales of Terror, and I remember walking back out from the bar, and Rich was talking to Sing Lao, one of the producers, and I could see the look on Sing's face, and I was like, there's only one thing Rich can be pitching in.
Yeah.
And I got over, and Sing went, that's awful, we'd love to have it in it.
Yeah. Sounds very Sing. And talk to us about your production, how long it took, and what were the biggest challenges?
So we actually shot all of that in about 13 hours one night, and we have a really good team of people that we work with all the time, and kind of communicated the insanity of it to them, and everybody came very well prepared. The most of it was relatively easy to shoot. We started out in a church hall for the actual bathrooms that Mel and the team decorated wonderfully, and Matt made up a load of fake feces and stuff to smear all over the walls, and fake graffiti on plastic sheets, transparent plastic sheets to put up all over the place, and then we moved to a pub to do the bits and pieces in the bar there, and then ended up outside. We left it till last to shoot the actual skewering, as it were, and that was quite fun, but it was quite challenging. We hadn't anticipated like needing to dilute the blood to get it to pump through, to get it to pump up, and then there wasn't enough movement in the cock for me, so I went and shook it from the other side.
Classic control figure director.
Yeah, and then our DOP was very worried about me splashing blood all over his expensive camera, so then we had to shoot it through a piece of glass, and that bit seemed to go on forever, but there was a lot of fun with it, and Lee's done a great edit of the Benny Hill music with just the dick wobbling for about, it feels like 20 minutes, but it's probably not.
Yeah, I mean, not got much else to say beyond that. I probably spent longer in post than what we did anything else, wasn't it? So yeah, we spent a few months doing that. But yeah, have you got anything to say?
Just when you watch it, all of the graffiti in the toilet was all sent in by our backers.
Right.
So every one of those essentially is a thank you to a Kickstarter backer.
Yeah.
But having all that printed out and trying to match up who said what and get it all in shot was quite challenging.
Are you happy to tell us what the budget on your segment was?
I think it was about £3,000, something like that.
So that's 3,000 more than the rest of the film. Is that right?
Ah, well, 3,000 more than maybe some of the segments. Yeah.
And
We have to spend a lot of money on rubber cocks at Ash Mountain Films.
a little gory hole factoid. The penis. Rich sent it to me because I needed it for Trashed. So because it's the penis.
Yep.
But then we were doing pickups on Studio 69, and we had this issue where we weren't sure that people were getting that the guy couldn't get a boner. So it ended up in Studio 60. So that is Rich's penis. I mean, not Rich's penis, but it is that penis. And and I got we put a little invisible string on it, and I was like, but yeah. So that penis.
Good value.
Penis, that ends up in 3 of the segments.
Brilliant.
And just out of interest, for anyone that doesn't know, how do the actual directors of the segments get picked?
That's really Lau. Like Lau, he's better at the socialising than me, and talking to human beings. So he talks to people. I think people sort of show their interest, and it kind of goes from there. And I think these guys were kind of nailed down for doing 2. Whereas with Debbie, I think we were talking originally that she was going to do the 3rd film, and then she sort of got bumped up to this one. But and we talk about it internally, and obviously it's Lau and I, and also we've got Pete as well. We sort of talk it through, but Lau always sort of initiates it. But a lot of it's really people just coming to Lau, and that's kind of how it's worked really.
Jason. Oh, look at that. Who
Thank you.
gets the mic? So your effects are pretty cool. How did you end up going down that line?
What, in doing effects?
Yeah.
Well, I'm a sculptor really.
Okay.
So I was sculpting. I used to sculpt commissions for people doing British comic book characters.
Yep.
And I met Tony Marden at a boot fair, and I bought a poster off of him, and he kept. That's it really. That's how I met Tony, and we just, we had the same interests. And he saw some of my sculpting and asked me whether I'd do something for him, and said it was in horror films and special effects, and didn't realise how much of a special effects fanatic I've always been. So it was something that, even though I hadn't actually done it, I knew how to do most of it. Like when I was about 11 years old, I sent off for the Grand Illusion from Fangoria, and I think I waited about 3 months for it to turn up, and read it back to forth, knew how everything was done. I used to, before there was special features, I used to go and find those things where I could read about it. So, when American Werewolf came out, they had a whole thing in the Sunday Mirror that showed you how all the effects were done. And I was just always fascinated with that. So it was just complete the work of Jesus, I guess. It just put me in the right place at the right time, and I've been lucky enough to work with Tears and Trash Arts and C-Mark Productions and a bunch of other really cool people. It's great fun.
Did you have any specific special effects challenges during the making of this film?
Yeah, the Vagina Alien was originally done in silicone, so
Right.
it looked incredibly lifelike. It was, like veins painted into it and everything. But you would die in it if you were in it long enough to be able to do it, because you can't see through it. It's just, filled with foam inside that. So, I put it on my daughter to try it, and literally, they're quite used to seeing weird things. I've done a lot of penises where they've walked in and they've seen penises on the table. I've been sculpting it for 2 days, but anyway, I put it on my daughter, and I think it was about a minute before she was going, no, take it off, and that was about 48 hours before I came to set.
That's
you know,
right.
so
Yeah, yeah.
I had to. I made 2 more in latex within 48 hours, and if you know the process of latex casting, if you know you pour it all in, you wait half an hour, you pour it out, and then you know it builds up the skin, and then you have to wait for that skin to dry and take itself away from the side of the mould. So literally, it was non-stop for about 48 hours. Just wait, do it. But fortunately, I managed to get it. However, the only downside for it is originally the mouth moved on the silicone because the mechanism was made to go into a silicone, and the difference with the latex is the way you do it, you ended up with a really thick piece of latex where the labia was, so you couldn't fit the mechanism into the labia to be able to get the labia to move as well. So it was a bit of a disappointing. So there was a puppeted version of the vagina as well, which
You
I
got to
got
do the
to,
close-ups and you had your...
yeah, I got to put my hand in the vagina and make it talk. Pussy whisperer.
And Tony's note was always like more goo.
yeah, more goo. Absolutely.
And Alex, for those people that don't know, what was the inspiration that started this whole series of films off?
Video shot, the whole shebang. So Lau is a collector of VHS, and I think at some point during Horror on Sea, he sort of talked to. So Horror on Sea is a film festival in Southend-on-Sea, where I'm from, and Lau sort of said to Paul, who runs it, you know, it'd be lovely to have like a focal point for pictures and things, and I've basically got this massive collection of VHS, and I think part of it was that he wanted to justify it to his wife that he could, you know, have this huge collection, and that there was actually an outlet for it. And I think at some point, some people were just saying, you know, you've got kind of the backdrop for a set, and you know, you could make a video shop set and do something around that. And you know, the first film was sort of 6 filmmakers that, you know, sort of known to Horror on Sea, and Lau sort of duped me into doing the wraparound, but I'm so
That's
glad
way
he
of
did.
doing that, doesn't it?
Yeah, he does. I mean, I was shooting a different film in his house, and he was like, "Oh, I'd already agreed to do a segment," and he was like, "Do you want to do the wraparound?" And there was very little in the way of what it was going to be, but I'm so pleased because I like, you know, it sort of, I love like sort of world building stuff, and it sort of it's really allowed me to sort of do this sort of weird sort of netherworld thing that we've done that sort of then kind of like flows into what these other filmmakers have created as well, which has been, yeah, it's been great for me.
Cool. Have we got any questions out there in the audience? One there. Go on.
You seem to indicate there's going to be a third one. Is that sort of in the planning? Is that going to be next year? And do you have a sort of theme for it?
It's not going to be. It's going to. We're going to release it. So we're in 2025. So 2027 will be the release date for it. We're taking a little bit longer. I'm writing at the moment. There is a theme. I think the biggest clue to what it is if you watch, you know, in this film this evening, there's the scene with Amber in where she gets sucked into a film, into the sort of shallow film, and it's sort of part of what the next one's going to be is this idea that there is that way that the characters can travel from the video shop maybe into actual films, and so the segments might be sort of far more connected and sort of interwoven in that way. I think it's fair to say, but I won't say the title yet because I think we're keeping it quiet until we've decided we're going to change our minds. Yeah, who knows?
Any other questions out there? Don't be shy. It's so bright down here, I can't see if there's any. No. Everyone's just, it's like they've heard enough. What's next for you guys? What are you working on next?
We're working on a science fiction feature that's a science fiction comedy parody. Yeah.
Jay?
Next up, I've got Dana with Lauren Bonnet and Tony Lauren. But again, I'm also working on a feature at the moment, and again, it's a sci-fi comedy. Yeah, but very.
Is it Oz?
Yeah, and that's with C-Mark Productions, which I'm very excited about.
And Alex.
Well, Video Shop 3. We're doing a documentary called Shoestring, which is about micro-budget horror filmmaking. So, and I mean, hopefully everyone on here will be in it in some way. And then, yeah, beyond that, just figuring out what the feature will be beyond Video Shop 3, but that is in the far future.
Well, let's give these guys a big round of applause. Thank you ever so much.